was like, what's wrong? And she said that they shot him. And she faced the phone towards the driver's seat.
Call, but it could have been, 4 shifts prior.
And so then...
Day one of the trial of Kim Potter, the former Brooklyn Center police officer facing manslaughter charges in the shooting death of Daunte Wright, officially getting underway in Minneapolis, Minnesota yesterday. You just heard that emotional testimony from Daunte Wright's mother. She was actually on the phone with her son while the traffic stop was made on April 11th of this year. So we are also seeing some video of a police officer who was training with Kim Potter that day, also taking the stand. So safe to say that it was a busy first day in court. And to break it all down for us live right now is Fox 9 Minneapolis' Kelly O'Connell with us here on Live Now from Fox. Kelly, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. As I mentioned, a pretty jam-packed day in that first day of the trial. What can you tell us this morning? Let's start with that emotional testimony that we saw from Daunte Wright's mother.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, that was very, very emotional. Right out the gate, day one, did the opening statements, and then right into some of those witnesses. The first witness called by the state was his mom, as you just heard, and obviously she got emotional talking about that day. Her name is Katie Bryant. She took the stand. She was the first witness there, and kind of detailing. She talked a little bit about her son, what he was up to, where he worked, talked about his young son, and then obviously talked about that day and what happened. You mentioned briefly she was actually on the phone with him at the time of that deadly traffic stop. So he actually called his mom right when he got pulled over, saying, "Mom, I got pulled over," and wanted her to be on the phone. She said, "It's okay. It's going to be okay. You didn't do anything wrong." And obviously that's kind of when things escalated too. She got very emotional talking about it, understandably. She told the court that he sounded nervous on the phone. He sounded scared, saying he was told by the officers to put the phone away, hang up the phone, so he did. Obviously, she tried to figure out what was happening. She called back several times. She ended up doing a FaceTime call, and that is when she really got emotional, talking about how the girlfriend, the girl who was in the car with Daunte Wright at the time, answered that FaceTime call and actually showed her son who had been shot. Definitely hard to hear from her. Emotional testimony for sure, and who you were just looking at right there. We also heard from another officer, Anthony Lucky is his name, and he was actually training with Kim Potter that day. She was his field training officer, and they did that traffic stop together. And he told the court that he pulled over right for air freshener in his car, also expired tabs. He says that they pulled him over. They had a conversation talking about insurance, license, all that stuff. And when they looked up in the computer, it found that Wright had had a warrant for previous weapons and a harassment protection order. And he said they went to arrest him, but that's when he resisted. And obviously we know what happened after that. But it's interesting to hear from him too. Obviously he was alongside Kim Potter on that day.
Yeah, Kelly, as you mentioned, he was literally training on the day that this happened, and that was mentioned in the opening statement. So we heard from both the prosecution and defense yesterday. A lot of things sticking out to me. We saw that the prosecution basically said police must protect life, not take it. And then you had the defense basically claiming that Kim Potter is a human being and that this was a mistake. So what can you tell us about what we heard from both sides?
Yeah, exactly. So the prosecution came right out the gate saying, look, we are taught and we are trained to trust officers and trust that they will do the right thing. They will know what is right versus wrong, and also what is left versus right, obviously in reference to the taser versus the gun. And the prosecutor said, look, she got it wrong here. She did not do and did not fulfill her duty to the badge. The defense saying, obviously, police officers are humans, and she made a mistake, a terrible mistake, but it was a mistake. They also really pressed too, if you were watching along yesterday, that had Daunte Wright stopped and followed the commands, he would be here too. So you can see that that is going to be a tactic of theirs as well. Not only was it a mistake, but also saying things would have been different had the circumstances been different. It was really interesting, obviously, the emotional aspect coming from Daunte Wright's mom, but also emotion coming from new body camera video that we have not seen up until yesterday. And it was Kim Potter right after the shooting. The former officer basically goes to the ground. She's on the curb, she's crying, and she's frantically, obviously, thinking about what just happened. She's in disbelief, frankly, from what happened. She's crying. You can hear her crying over and over again. She also says, "I'm going to prison." You see the other officers trying to console her, kind of patting her back. We had not seen that. We had heard anecdotally that was out there. Our reporters who covered the case right from the get-go had said that this is out there, this video is out there, referencing that she was very much distraught after it happened. But this is the first time that we saw it, the jury saw it, and the nation saw it too.
Yeah, Kelly, we actually do have that video, and I'm going to leave you for just a minute to play that for our viewers, because I do want to let them hear the sound and what we heard. Let's listen in here for a second. Kelly, I think that it's safe to say that this is, like you mentioned, a different side that we saw. You can see that in this video, Kim Potter is showing some remorse and, basically fully admitting, oh my God, I shot him. I made a mistake.
And that's exactly what the defense really tried to capitalize on, or not capitalize, but really stress that, look, she's a human being, and she made a mistake. And granted, a terrible, tragic mistake, but saying it is clear in this, and that's going to be their point going forward, that this was a mistake, this was not an intentional act, and that, to their point, they could say that any one of us could have made a mistake like that they're human, and she was trying. It's going to be interesting today, too. We expect the girlfriend, or the girl who was in the car with Daunte Wright at the time, as I mentioned earlier, who actually picked up that FaceTime call from his mom. She is expected to take the stand today. We have not heard from her, other than through kind of attorneys and spokespeople. So it'll be interesting to see what she really says. Also, long term here, we're expected to hear from both the current Brooklyn Center Police Chief, also the past chief who was then fired after all of this happened. And then, of course, Kim Potter herself is expected to take the stand in her own defense. That is expected to happen next week. So, there's still going to be some really powerful moments, I would expect, today, and obviously next week when Kim Potter will take the stand. All indications is that she's still planning to do that.
Yeah, definitely, Kelly. The emotions already high on day one, so can't imagine how it's expected to go throughout the weeks. And I understand also that the judge does plan on trying to wrap this case before Christmas Eve. Is that right?
Yeah, that's the goal. She has said from the get-go that she wants to get this done before the holidays, and both parties agree. We had a legal expert on talking yesterday that both parties, the defense and the prosecution, you do not want this to last through the holidays. It's not good for really anyone involved. You don't want the jury to be deliberating through the holidays. That would not be good for either case. So not only does the judge, I would imagine, probably the jurors as well, but also both defense and prosecution would like to have this wrapped up by at least the 24th.
All right. Well, Fox 9 Minneapolis' Kelly O'Connell breaking down everything we saw in that emotional day one in court. I do know that court is expected to get underway around 9 Central Time, so 10 Eastern Time. And to our viewers, we'll be streaming that for you here on Live Now from Fox. Kelly, thank you so much, and you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Again, we are going to bring you those live feeds from inside the courtroom here on Live Now from Fox as we walk through with Kelly. Very emotional first day in court, and we are expected to hear from Kim Potter herself taking the stand in her own defense next week. But today, first, we are expected to hear from Daunte Wright's girlfriend, who was in the passenger seat when this incident went down on April 11th of this year. So be sure to stick with our Live Now from Fox team as we continue to bring you inside the courtroom throughout the duration of our trial.